Salutations, Stan the Fan Charles.
Excited to be back, Glenn. It's football season in America.
It is indeed. Things get underway tonight as we are recording this on Thursday afternoon. And of course,
There's a game tonight.
yeah, I don't know if you heard. There's games. There's a really wonky thing about the schedule. So tomorrow night is Chargers Chiefs in
In
Brazil.
Brazil, right?
So
I'm in Brazil. I'm in Brazil right now.
That's reporting to us live. I
Yes.
appreciate that. You will go spare no expense in bringing us the best coverage of football season. So, Stan, it's weird. Next year, the NFL will not be able to play a game on Friday night to open the season. There is the antitrust law that protects high school football for having exclusivity for Friday nights does not kick in until the second Friday of September, just the way the law was worded when it was written. So for the last 2 years, because Labor Day has been so early, has been on the second or the first Friday, the Friday of football season has technically been the first Friday of September. So next year it's the second Friday of September. So they will not be able to play a Friday night game to open the season next year. And
now, couldn't they do sort of what baseball does when it opens in Japan
and play it at 8 in the morning? Yeah.
No. Play like the week before, and then give those two teams the week off or something.
That might be an option. I think a lot of people are speculating that what they might do is legitimately play the game at 4 in the afternoon, and say technically we're not on up against. And we're just trusting that we're the NFL and people choose to watch us whenever we play our games. So this is when we're playing it, 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. We'll see you then. There's a lot of speculation that that's what they might do.
The NFL loves to sort of urinate on their what's it called? Water, the thing, fire hydrant.
Oh yeah, sure.
So they like to say and imply and then prove it.
Yep.
That, hey, we'll play our games whenever, and we'll
you're
get incredible crowds.
And you're gonna watch. That's the way it's gonna go. You're gonna watch. Yeah. Well, Stan, a year ago, I had a meh regular season. You were a little bit better in the regular season than I was a year ago. I think you won by 2 games.
Did I make a good comeback last year? I can't even remember.
I feel like you were ahead for most of the regular season last year.
Okay. Anyway, I won 29 and lost 27, and you were 27 and 29. And I don't remember if our little kicker played into me winning or not. The 3-point.
Oh, the extra 3. I don't think it did, but I don't remember. You're asking me to remember things from way too far along.
Go over and it really matters.
But I whooped that ass in the postseason, so we had
technically you probably whooped ass, but it was such a clobbering that there's an outside chance because I stopped keeping score.
Oh, thank you.
I could have won.
I don't think so. So we begin a new season. Each week we will pick the Ravens game, and then we will offer our lock winner and lock loser for the week. Stan, picks are brought to you, as always, by 1-800-GAMBLER and helpmygambling.problem.org. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, then you can get free confidential services by visiting helpmygamblingproblem.org or by calling or texting 1-800-GAMBLER to get yourself straightened away. We encourage you to be responsible as you gamble this season.
And I hope to do a couple Zooms during the season at some key times during the gambling season with some of the directors and the counselors there that do such a great job. Seriously, because we like to have fun with it. It's part of the furniture now. It's not going away. But for some, it can be a real problem.
And Stan, our picks are also brought to you by
the Costas Inn. No problems with the Costas Inn. Whether you go to 4100 North Point Boulevard or the new location in the grandstand right next to the OTB at Timonium. And by the way, not just during the Timonium Fairgrounds, it's during the Timonium Fair. It's the entire year they're open there now. They took over the food concession right next to the OTB, and they are kicking some ass there, Glenn.
We are very excited about that. It is an awesome thing to have that new Costas Inn now open at the fairgrounds. All right.
Can you help before we dig into the work? Can you clarify something for me?
I'll do my best.
I've been there a couple times, and I even discussed it with Pete. I said, you say you got the same menu except for the steamed crabs, but I don't see my pork chop on here. My pork chops, like 2 pork chops for dinner, and I love their pork chops. Ross tells me they are on the menu. I haven't been there for about 2 weeks.
I haven't been since the first time. I will make sure that when I'm in there, I double check for you.
I'll probably be there sooner than you.
Well, you say that. I've tried to avoid going during the fair, so I'm just going to try to wait. Once the fair is over, I'll get back. And what I would say, Stan, is if they're not, this is the way it goes. We bull rush the place. We demand it. We say, don't you know who Stan the Fan Charles is?
And I'll say, Glenn will even cook the pig.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'm willing to, 100%.
Do you get pork chops when you do a pig?
No. We do a lot of stuff with the pig at leftover. We have lots of leftover pig. We roast a pig every summer. We normally do like.
And you don't feel bad about that?
No, not remotely. Not. There are animals that I love. There are animals that I eat. It's very simple for me. I'm very involved in a lot of animal charities. I love those animals. The rest, the others, I eat. That's the way that it works. So
anyway, we love the Costas Inn, and Glenn and I both give them 2 thumbs up.
No doubt about it. Doubt about it. All right, Stan. All right. So, I guess let's start with the Ravens-Bills game. And I just realized I do not have our paddles. I don't know what happened to our paddles.
So they are thumbs up for Ravens.
I'll write it down. That's what I'll do.
Okay.
I'll write it down and I'll hold it up, and then we'll figure out what happened to the paddles.
You want me to write it down as well?
You can do whatever. You can do that if you'd like. Stan, Ravens Bills Sunday Night Football to open the season in Orchard Park, New York, where it's going to be a Buffalo summer, like I think 57 degrees on Sunday night.
I like that.
There they are. What are they doing out there? What happened? What happened there? I don't think I did. I think that Griffin probably did. John Colson found our paddles. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to be digging through.
It's a Griffin problem.
I believe I certainly would not have taken the paddles out of the studio. There would be no reason for me to do that. But that Griffin Bass, you can't trust him. You never know what he's up to. And if I had to guess.
Glenn, there's been a big change in this.
There has. Split. Serious line change this week. The Ravens began as 1.5-point dogs.
And are our numbers presented by FanDuel?
They are. We get our numbers courtesy of FanDuel. They've gone from 1.5-point dogs all the way to 1.5-point favorites. So a 3-point shift in this game. Stan, the Ravens now 1.5-point road favorites to open up the season in the place where their season ended a year ago.
Do you think it could be the newly married syndrome? Taking
you mean for Josh Allen? I don't think so. I think that's unrelated. I think this is just the public. The Ravens are the trendiest preseason Super Bowl pick. Right. And so I think the public has just sided with the Ravens and it's moved the number. There was a little bit of concern about Jair Alexander and whether or not he would play on Sunday after he's practiced the first couple of days this week. It looks like he's going to be good to go. Doesn't look like Pat Ricard will be out on the field on Sunday.
Okay. And Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, we knew that Isaiah Likely wasn't going to be a factor.
He was unlikely. He was unlikely to play.
Look at what you did there. Look at what you did there, Stan. All right, I just have the Ravens.
It's our first week of the season, but the humor is.
Oh, we have prepped for months. Yeah. As you can tell, as I'm digging through this box looking for the Buffalo Bills paddle, you can see just exactly how prepared I am. Forget it. Oh, here it is. There we are. Look at that.
There we go.
Look at that. Ravens and Bills. All right, Stan. Ravens now
wait a minute. You say you were prepared. It doesn't have a stick.
Yeah, whatever. We're just going with what we got, Stan.
All right.
1.5-point favorites on Sunday.
So now this is the one game per week, the Raven game that we
exactly right.
Either way. Okay?
Either way. Doesn't matter what the other person does.
All right. And I wrote down my answer.
Very good. Here we go.
In 3, 2, 1, go.
There you go. There you go. Stan, why do you like the Ravens to start the season?
First of all, I'll say that all along I was a little bit surprised that the Ravens were underdogs in this game, and it turns out at the very end, they have moved to 1.5 point favorites. I like the revenge factor here, and I think the Ravens have the best roster in the National Football League. I do listen to Vinny and Haney a lot on 105.7. I really like that show, and I really like Vinny on football. And Vinny says they've got the best roster in the National Football League. I'm not the world's biggest John Harbaugh fan, and I get some flack for it. Some people understand where I'm coming from, but I think they have a very, very talented roster. And I think their defense, both by the fact that Zach Orr is more comfortable in year 2, I think the Chuck Pagano signing was a huge, huge addition to the defensive staff, and I know you agree with me on there.
Mm-hmm.
But players make the team, and I think the additions of Mike Green and what's the rookie Malachi
Starks.
Yeah, I just think this defense is going to be terrific this season, and I don't think the Bills are going to be prepared for the intensity of what the Ravens bring Sunday night.
So I'm torn. I don't want to be disrespectful to the Bills, who obviously beat the Ravens. Yep, who obviously beat the Ravens in the playoffs last year. But I don't think the Bills are as good as the Ravens. I think Josh Allen's outstanding.
Yeah.
I think Lamar Jackson's better. I think the Ravens, on the whole, are better. The offensive line, I think the Bills have a better offensive line than the Ravens do, and brought back their entire offensive line, which is very impressive. I certainly, there are players like Matt Milano who I like a ton, but I don't know what other areas on the field units I would say I think the Bills have an advantage over the Ravens. I just
maybe in week 1 field goal kicking.
Okay, sure. Well, now you say that, except that we don't know if Tyler Bass is going to play for Buffalo on Sunday. He's been banged up.
Okay.
And so they signed Matt Prater today, who I think is 107 years old. Stan, I just think the Ravens are better than the Bills. And we know that there was some goofiness in what happened in the playoffs. So I think a true football game, the better team, and with it just being a 1.5 number, I like the Ravens here on Sunday night to open the season.
We're in total agreement on that game. Glenn, I gave you first pick based on your win in the postseason. So you go for it. And you stole my team.
Yeah, this line has gone up this week as well, which is a bummer. I think the trendy, everybody's darling entering the 2025 season is the Denver Broncos, who, on top of everything else they did, they just locked up Nick Bonito with a new 4-year deal today.
Highest paid non-quarterback in Broncos history.
So there's so much to like about the Broncos if Bo Nix backs up what he did in year 1 and takes a step forward. And it does require him taking another step forward for them to be able to compete with the top teams in the AFC. Yeah. Their skill position players aren't overwhelming. I think most of us assume that R.J. Harvey is going to step in at some point as the running back. Right now, J.K. Dobbins is the default running back 1 in Denver. But there's a lot to like about R.J. Harvey if and when he takes over that role. They bring in Evan Ingram, who helps out a lot in the pass-catching department because Courtland Sutton's the only real, special pass catcher they had. I like Marvin Mims. There's other guys that you like, but it's not overwhelming. But, boy, their roster is just so good. And they're really balanced, and they're going up against a Titans team that is turning things over at the quarterback position and that, frankly, just doesn't have a lot anywhere on the field. They're asking a lot of Cam Ward because there's just very little to like about the Titans. It's an 8.5 point number. I don't love that whatsoever, but I just think the Broncos are significantly better than the Titans, so I'm going to roll with it this week.
I think there's a real tough spot for Cam Ward's debut. Regular season debut. I think the Titans will be improved this year, but in this spot, 8.5 is a lot of points. But to me, I'm not from Texas. Missouri's the show me state.
That's correct.
This game has nothing to do with Missouri.
Not at all.
But you got to show me something, Cam Ward, and I don't think this is a great spot for him to show. And I do think Bo Nix will take a step forward from what was a pretty good rookie season last year. and I think they'll get off to a good start. I agree with you. I like the Denver Broncos in this game.
All right, your lock winner?
Glenn, I went with a game. It's interesting. I don't follow the preseason that closely anymore. So when I sat down to pick the game, I go to some experts and I keep reading how last year, the Commanders. Well, I'm taking the Commanders minus 5.5 at Raljon at FedEx Field. What do they call it now? It's not FedEx
It's
Field.
Northwest Stadium.
Northwest Stadium. Same access and egress problems
Yes.
that it had at FedEx. But I kept reading that the Giants were 0-2 against the Commanders, but the games were close. There were 8 points separating them in both games. But those games were played by a Commanders team that wasn't what it became late in the season last year. And I just think these are two teams that are still going in opposite directions. I don't think Russell Wilson is going to be an answer or a space saver in a positive way there. I think he's really past his prime, and I think Jaden Daniels will eat up. I'm looking for Wilson to make a couple big mistakes. I just think the Commanders win this game by 10 points or more.
Yeah, this was one that I looked at. I'm in a weird place where I want to be in love with the Commanders, and then I realize like how many of their key pieces are over 30, and the Bobby Wagners of the world, Von Miller, who they bring in, like they're relying on some older, but not this week. I think you're right. I think the Commanders should win this game comfortably.
Yeah, I really like them this week.
Stan, my lock loser has a little bit to do with both sides of this matchup, honestly. The New Orleans Saints are my lock loser at home, getting 6.5 points, which I hate everything about the theory of that.
Yeah.
But I am so perplexed by the Saints not addressing the quarterback position in a meaningful way. And I know that they drafted Tyler Shugg, and I think that most people believe that at some point this season, Tyler Shugg is going to be their quarterback, but it was such a confusing decision to draft a 25-year-old unless you thought he was ready to be the guy immediately.
Right.
And so it's perplexing that Spencer Rattler, who showed us nothing at all at any point, is the guy they throw out there to be the quarterback again. I also am a bit more bullish about the Cardinals than I think other people are. They've got to have a healthy Kyler Murray, obviously. That's been one of the biggest issues they've dealt with the last couple of years. But they have the best tight end, arguably, in football, and Trey McBride. I absolutely am a believer in Marvin Harrison Jr. and Budda. Like, I just keep looking at that roster and thinking to myself, there's more there than we realize, and they are better with a healthy Kyler Murray, and we just sort of forget that because he's been unhealthy enough that we've dismissed the Cardinals altogether. I think they're a factor in the NFC West. I just do not care at all for the New Orleans Saints. I think they might be the worst team in football to open up the season. So I will go with them as my lock loser, despite the fact that they are getting 6.5 points at home.
I couldn't bet this game either way. I do not like this game at all. I'm not a big Kyler Murray fan, whether he's healthy or unhealthy. I hate to have a prejudice, but I don't want a short quarterback. I think he's too small for the job. And I think as he gets older and a little bit more beat up, he's going to slow down a little bit. I don't like his arm strength. There's not a lot I like about watching him play quarterback.
He's got the arm strength I would push back on. I think he's got plenty of arm strength. I understand what you're saying about shorter quarterbacks, but I don't think it's ever been an issue about his arm strength, and his mobility is obviously unquestionable.
It's not arm strength, it's accuracy. I just don't like when I see him play. I keep thinking that he should go back to baseball where he was going to be a superstar.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
I don't think he's a superstar. Not nearly in football, but
all right.
I don't like, whatever the reasons, I don't like that game at all. because I think it's too many points.
Well, yeah, the line is frustrating. I would love it a lot more if it wasn't 6.5. But
now I picked a great loser.
Okay? Yeah,
I picked the New England Patriots to lose by more. Well, they're 2.5-point favorite, and I don't think they're going to cover against the Las Vegas Raiders.
This is
coming
interesting.
in there. Yeah. First of all, the Seattle Seahawks went into New England last year, and Geno Smith beat them up there pretty comfortably, I believe. I know that Mike Vrabel, and this is a game where I greatly respect both coaches. I'm a big Pete Carroll fan, but I'm a big Mike Vrabel fan. I just don't think Mike Vrabel. Both teams were 4-13 last year. I just don't think
Oh, Stan, I apologize. I think we're losing you. I think you've frozen up over there. So, I'll give some thoughts about.
Now we're back.
All right. Now we're back. Good to see you again, Stan. All right.
Good to see me. Yeah, it's good to be seen. I just don't really care for. I know there'll be a better coach team than they were the last year, but I don't think that they're gonna. I don't think they'll cover this spread. If I were picking. If you had a gun to my head and I was picking who was going to win the game, I think Las Vegas wins the game in Pete Carroll's debut. I'm looking. I happen, and you know, we've done these for about 6 years now. These picks. I used to think that Geno Smith was like one of the worst quarterbacks I had ever seen. I think Pete Carroll and his coaching staff turned him into a passable quarterback. He's not the long-term answer in Las Vegas, but I think they can go from 4-13 to say 7-10, and this is one of the games I think they pick off this year.
It's a weird place. I actually happen to be a bit more bullish about the Patriots this season. I liked what I saw from Drake May with not a lot around him, and I think Stephon Diggs is one of the biggest question marks in the NFL this season. Can you get a version of Stephon Diggs that is similar to 2 years ago as opposed to the version that you got last year? If they do, I think they can take
Where
a
was
huge
he
step
last
forward.
year? Chicago?
Houston,
right.
Yeah. So it's a weird one for me. I don't know how to feel. I sort of feel about this game the way that you felt about the game that I picked. I feel like I would stay away from this altogether just because it's such a weird game to me about teams that I'm not sure. I like Pete Carroll. I do think that Pete Carroll and Geno Smith will be at least passable in Las Vegas. But
that was the word I used.
Yeah. I just don't feel strongly about it.
All right. Let's recap. Glenn and I both like a Ravens team that is now moved from 1.5-point underdogs to 1.5-point favorites. We both think the better roster and maybe a little bit of the revenge factor play into this game Sunday night. What time is that game? 8:15?
8:20, yep.
8:20 on NBC?
Yep.
NBC. Glenn's lock winner of the week is the Denver Broncos opening their season at home against the Tennessee Titans. Cam Ward's debut. He thinks it's a tough spot. The line moved from 7.5 to 8.5, but Glenn thinks Denver will win that game and cover. I like the Washington Commanders opening at home at Northwest Stadium. They are a 5.5-point favorite against the New York Giants, now led by Russell Wilson. I think the Commanders are much improved from the 2 times they beat the Giants last year by a total of 8 points. So I like Washington minus 5.5. Glenn's lock loser is a game that I didn't like either way, but I understand why he thinks New Orleans may have the worst team in football this year. They're getting 6.5 points. Glenn likes them as his lock loser, does not think they will cover that line. I think the New England Patriots, who are 2.5-point favorites, they don't cover that line at home against Pete Carroll and the Las Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith in their co-debuts in New England. It's also the debut of head coach Mike Vrabel in New England. So that's
there you go. There you go. Stan, we will have a Project Game Day following the game on Sunday night. So hope everybody will come join us, pressboxonline.com/game-day to kick off the season. And Stan will be in with me tomorrow morning as we'll be getting you ready for Ravens Bills. I believe Mike Golick will join us. He's on the call for Westwood One.
Is Mike Golick now on my S list?
Yeah, I think there might be a person. I don't know. We got to settle all that with you.
Okay.
And I think Bert Jones is joining us tomorrow as well. So
that would be exciting.
Yeah,
Bo Smolka, right?
No, and that's
he's got a thing now.
We should definitely talk about that off the air. It might be a problem.
Hey, want to thank our friends at 1-800-GAMBLER and what's it called? Maryland Problem Gambling.
Yeah, you can say helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Helpmyproblem.org and 1-800-GAMBLER, and also by the Costas Inn. They'll be bringing us the picks every week during the 25-26 season.
All right, Stan. We will talk to you next week.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Bye.